Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 259. Hope you're amazing as always. Really do. Do you know? Beautiful day, beautiful week, and we are already nearly the end of January. Hope you're moving and shaking, and I don't know if you're about shaking, but I hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing good. Have you noticed? I don't know. I'm getting old, you know? I'm getting old. My birthday next month. I like being this age, though. You look back on all the years and when you were in your 30s and 20s and teens, and you realize how dumb you were. And I don't mean unintelligent. I just mean dumb. The things you do, the mistakes you'd make, the situations you get yourself into. And hey, we're all getting better at it for sure. But have you noticed that the years are getting faster, right? And people go, oh, you know, no, it's the truth. That's the theory of relativity. Think about it. If you're in a train, if you're looking out the window, the person's who's standing on the track, time perception is very, very different to what you being in that train is. And that's the same with life. Think about this, right? So what happens is, because we've got more of a reference point, we're planning the future, time becomes a very different concept to us. You know, the years, it's not like when we were a kid, right? And it's like the summers, I don't know about you, but these seem to go on for like months and months and months. And they were the longest summers ever. But the truth is, it was just because of our perception around time. We hadn't done too many summers, right? So as you get older, what you got to realize is time becomes so much more precious, so much more valuable. And it's not like, for example, Stephen Hawking's concept of time. Do you understand this? You know, the norm, I haven't taught this in years, actually. I used to go over all this stuff. I've gone so deep down the business path that sometimes what made this podcast really popular was me being a little bit wacky back in the day. I've had comments like, you're a mad scientist, and I'm still a little bit of a mad scientist with experiments on my own life, my clients' brains, and all the rest of it. That doesn't sound good, right? But you know what I mean. But back to Stephen Hawking's concept of time. Everyone's perception is that, you know, a 19-year-old has the whole life in front of them. And an 80-year-old is at the end of their life. But it's simply not true. It's not true. Because that 19-year-old could be gone tomorrow, and the 80-year-old could last another 30, 40 years. Do you understand? So we have to understand life like this. We have to understand that our time perception is changed as we get older. We have to understand that things become so precious. And when we really get the concept that, again, age doesn't mean longevity of life, then we've really got to look at ourselves each day. We've really got to do our best each day. We've really got to look at the direction that we're heading in. Is it the one that we want to go in? And we've got to be so clear about that. Does this make sense? I know I'm going on a bit of a rant at the start, but it's going to lead into today's episode. Now, I'm hoping for you and your business and future right now that you were at the event I put on Friday on the Incubator group, you know, on Facebook. I hope so, because it was an hour-long training. I went into massive detail, and hey, you probably should have watched it. If you have, awesome, you're cool, you know. But the reason I want you to watch it is because I tried something different, you know. I'm standing in front of the camera, but I got these, you know, these big, huge sticky notes that you get, these massive ones, they're like about 3 foot tall. Well, I did the whole presentation sticking new sticky notes on the wall. So it was pretty cool, and you get to see me and hang out. And you definitely should watch it, because I want you to take some notes, because obviously it's a bit different to listen to it, right? But should you listen to it? Yeah, you should listen to it too. And that's why I'm going to put it into this episode. I was going to do two parts to it. I'm not quite sure. I'll decide literally during this, because it's an hour long and I want you to get the most out of it. So I might put it into two parts, but hey, it's going to be a little surprise. But what this is all about is this. What I'm about this year is really getting committed to building high performance, building entrepreneurs. And that sounds a little silly, but it's not. Because every day that goes by, every thought that you have, every thought about the future, the past, money, success, the overwhelm, the stress, the anger, also the happiness, the joy, the excitement, all of this is building a map of your reality, a frame. It's your world that's you're creating. And the thing is, we need it programmed the right way. But what this pro training was about is rewiring and upgrading. I've got something amazing coming in the next couple of weeks, and you need to check it out. You really do. It's called the 1% Performer. It's a mentor program of business and brain. And I just wanted to give a little insight into, a little taster of some of the information that we're going to go through. Because what I've noticed over the years is that the brain or the mind, it just controls everything. And that's what I want to cover in this training today, because your brain is going to affect your brand. It's going to affect your money. And so we get our brain right and then train it in the right place. You suddenly step into a different version of you. And that version of you sees the world such a different way that's where the creativity comes from. That's where the chemicals are different. That's where we can harmonize your brand. That's where we can look at very detailed sales and sales scripts and how you're stepping into close, or the vision of your business, or if you're scaling or bringing on new people, or you've just got an idea and you just want to get it out into the world. Or we're looking at different lead generation strategies and marketing, and you get the idea, right? Even copywriting. All of these things are what create a brand. Yeah. What's happened over the years, I was just working on the mindset years and years ago. That's what I got famous for. And hey, I've done incredible things with that. But what I also do is I'm known for the mindset guy, right? But the truth is, I build brands, and that's why we're changing the brand. The brand. See, I'm going through a rebrand right now. I keep talking about brands, but hey, look, I'm going through a rebrand right now myself. The Mindset by Design isn't going to be the brand anymore. It's going to be the podcast, right? And that's cool. That's cool. But it's going to be AndyMurphy.biz, and that's going to be Andy Murphy as the consultant, and going to have all these different products and courses and mentorship, and you get the idea. So I had to look at that at the end of last year, maybe November. I started to really change my focus. And the reason is this: I've got a lot of other projects we're putting out, and it's going to be Hustle and Flow with Sean Wells, and we're building a high-level mastermind, and then I'm getting into mergers and acquisitions. So this first stage is beautiful, right? It's beautiful because I want to take you on a journey, on a ride. And I want to make you and build you into the ultimate version of you. And as you can tell, I'm a little excited about it. Sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah. You want to be a part of that, don't you? I thought you might. Well, you can't right now, because it's not even available to the public. A few more weeks, let's see how we get on. So today's training, let me explain. Today's training for you it's special. It's awesome. I cover 1,000 different points in an hour. Obviously, I can't go into detail about each specific topic because that's generic and also specific to your product, to your personality, right? We want to look at that separately. But today I want to give you a nice overview to get you thinking, okay? I even, there's a lot of fakes in this industry. There's a lot of fakes. And I even call one of them out in this training. I don't mention his name, but I want to see if you can work out who it is. And if you do know, message me in the incubator group, right? And tag me. Or you can always email me. I'm always open. Andy@mindsetbydesign.co. Just message me. I'll always respond. And speaking of responding, I had some great feedback from the previous episode. Chad the Savage George, buddy of mine, client of mine in the past, and multiple world champion. Actually fought that weekend. And jiu-jitsu, and hey, became another champion. he's a badass, but his mindset is incredible to listen to and watch. And again, if you have not watched the video, besides listening to it, definitely go and listen to it. But you can go and watch that on YouTube channel. It's just Mindset by Design. That's the YouTube channel. So it's nice and simple. So go and check that out too. But if you are a new listener to Mindset by Design, then welcome. Always nice to have a new listener. What we're here about at Mindset by Design is about building new behaviors, new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting for true high-level performance in every level of business and entrepreneurism. And guess what? How are we doing that? Well, we're doing it through definite business strategies, but we're also doing it through the brain. Yeah, using neuro-linguistic programming, which I'm a world-class expert at, neural retraining, which are all of my own systems. You've got neuroscience, gamification, behavioral psychology, and you get the idea. I'm a master coach. And the thing is, I've done this for 17 years all over the world with the highest people in the world, from billionaire royalty to world champion athletes to some of the top people you've seen all over the internet. In every capacity, and right down to startups and people just getting going. And I'm also a member of the Forbes Coaching Council. And I wanted to share that with you because guess what? There's a lot of people out there are just full of hot air, noise, and bullshit. And I want to make sure that you're safe, looked after, and you can grow your brain and your business to the highest level possible. I've seen over 10,000 clients. Podcast has got way over 1 million downloads, and I want to share all of this knowledge with you. So that's it. So I'll shut up now, sending you much love, get your notepad and pen, and we're going to jump into this episode, and I will see you at the end of the show. So, I'm not sure what's going on here, but let's find out. There we are. Hey, pretty awesome. I'm going to hang out for a minute, you know. The Instagram, Facebook's weird when you do Zoom because it's like a 30-second delay. So if you were asking questions or anything, hey, it's going to take a minute. But the cool thing is, I got you guys on here. So if you got questions, ask them, This is obviously going to be chilled out, obviously going to be relaxed, and obviously going to probably be a lot different to other people's things. And I want to, I'm thinking about doing these regularly, and I'll redo this video if needed, but I just wanted to get interaction going. So I'm going to click back to the other screen where there is a 30-second delay. And beautiful. Let me see this comment. What flavored tea do you have? Look, I'm going to, Christine, I'm going to get it up here. And then, so that's live there. Okay, we're learning. So anyway, I can see. What flavored tea? What do you think it is, Christy? It's green tea. Right? So excuse me if I don't get back. I'm going to check these questions regularly. Facebook's crazy, but we got to learn it still, right? So here we are. See this? Rewire, upgrade, brand money. And the thing is, the reason why I called it that is really it's important that you understand a few things. Everyone's teaching technology, everyone's teaching the latest and greatest webinar, funnel, all of this stuff. But the truth is, all of that stuff's brilliant. It is. Does it work? Sometimes. But the reason often why it doesn't work is this. Plain and simple, right? So I wanted to show you today, a lot of people think I'm just like the mindset guy, right? But I do a lot more than just mental performance, although that's my passion, I love it. But I want to show you how the brain is wired and it's connected to every area of your business, your life, your relationships, your future, your money, everything. And when you start to understand that, man, things change. Things change. So I'm going to click on here, make sure the questions, I don't know what your questions are, Christy, but I'm gonna find them. There you go. Look, I got you. There you are. Beautiful. So you can put your questions in there now. Love it, love it, love it. So I'm going to click on here, make sure see the 30-second delay? Pretty cool. For you who's going to do this in the future, now you know. So let's jump into this. So first thing is rewiring and upgrading. And we need to understand what that really means. So the first step for me is to show you a little bit about what's going on in here. Sound good? Good. Now we're playing with sticky notes, not the easiest thing. So I'm just going to turn my back for a second. I'm going to come over here and we're going to do some stickiness. Check that out, right? Check that out. So what's going on, Andrew? See, I've got this going here. What's going on, Andrew? What's going on, Graham? Mirror neurons? We can talk about mirror neurons, Graham. Stammy, what up? Damien, what up? Good to see you all. And as I say, there is a 30-second delay, so if I'm saying things here, then it's there. You get the idea. But at least I can follow you guys now, okay? So old, new. This is a concept that I have taught and developed for, man, let's turn that this way, for well over a decade. And it's been copied a lot. it's people have introduced this into many different areas. And I was going back in the day, it was just purely neurolinguistics that I was doing in sales. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of people doing that back then. So a lot of people took my stuff, but this was one of the original things, okay? So old versus new. But what does that mean, okay? What does that mean? It means, first of all, that you need to understand this. This is a muscle. And we can talk about the neuroscience studies, neuroplasticity, and we're going to get into areas like that. But the truth is, what up, Aaron? I just saw you pop up, mate. What up, Aaron? What up, Alexis? So when we start to understand the power of this, and it's connected to every cell and fiber in your body, it's connected to your future, your past, it's connected to everything. And when we understand that, I want you to treat this as there's two different versions of you, okay? That is 1 and that is 2. Now, the thing about number 1 is, if you've had anything to do with my trainings, if you've listened to any of my podcasts, then you're going to understand this, okay? This is a muscle. This is the old you. It's like pumping this bicep for like 20 years. And somebody coming saying to you, Andy, stop lifting on your right arm. It looks ridiculous, mate. It looks crazy. Stop lifting on your right arm because you haven't lifted on your left. And it's skinny. And it's weak. And so what happens is we start to try. See the key word, try. We start to lift, but what happens? It feels uncomfortable, right? So when we step into the new, it feels uncomfortable. It feels strange. You know, the people, places, and things around us are still treating us as if we're the old version. And so what happens is when people make New Year's resolutions, what they don't understand is about habit formation. And do you know, I'll ask you a question and I'll check it in a minute. Do you know how long it takes to form a new habit? I'll ask that question again. Right down below. Do you know how long it takes to form a new habit? Okay, I'm going to leave that question out there. But when we start to understand this, I want you to understand a big difference. Because this is your world. And you end up putting a box around what is possible in your world. And everything that's ever happened to you, the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, the successes, the failures, the traumas, everything leads you up to making a decision about what's possible in your world, right? Makes sense? And the thing about this world is we have certain beliefs, right? We have certain ways of talking to ourselves. We have certain way of valuing ourselves. And we have certain expectations, right? And the thing is, if you have been hanging around with people who aren't successful, then what happens to your brain is you start to adopt those behaviors. It's think about when you were a kid, man, right? I grew up real working class, real rough. And that means I was learning behaviors about money, success, and how life should be from people who weren't successful, people who I didn't want to be like. And I'll tell you a quick story. In school, we had maybe you got it in the US or Canada or Aussie or wherever the heck you are listening to this right now or watching this. When you, I had a guidance counselor or a careers coach. I think it was called a careers coach, maybe even back then. But I remember them giving me, at the end of school, they gave me 20 different folders. And I went through all of these different folders. And each one of them was a career or a job or an apprenticeship or something like that. And I got to the end and I went, sweet, I don't want to do any of those. What else have you got? And the guy, literally, I remember this real vivid. The guy looked at me and went, that's it. And I went, no, yeah, I understand that's it, but I don't want to do any of that. What other options have I got? And he looked at me and went, just turned his back and carried on. There was no explanation or option for sales, entrepreneurism, right? There was nobody asked me what I like. And so what happens is this pumps and pumps and it forms a world. Makes sense? But this is the problem. This is the problem with business and entrepreneurs, because if you come from that environment, you're coming from a corporate environment, or you're just coming from, a world that's not wealthy and rich, what happens is well, this is the whole concept behind this, and I could go on about this concept forever, but we start to build towards this new us. And that could be, okay, I'm going to make a decision today. And the decision is I'm going to step up. That's it, okay? I'm going to step up. I'm going to give it everything I've got. New people around me, new things that are going into my head. I'm going to stop watching that bullshit on Netflix, right? And I'm going to instead pump this muscle to who I want to become like. But the challenge is, if this is a muscle, it's weak. This is the problem. And remember this box? Well, what happens is we hit something called a threshold, and then we get something what I call a snapback, okay? So we go over here, we're kicking ass, okay? Something triggers you, trigger, and you get snapback inside of this box. Now, I'm going to talk more about, not today, actually. I'm putting out a cool ebook, and it's going to explain all this. But there's a concept I created called the gap, snapback, and set points, okay? So the challenge with this box is that, well, when you think of the future, you're thinking very limited. Does that make sense, first of all? You're thinking extremely limited about what's possible from your small frame. So the first thing we have to do is we have to expand and shatter this box. We have to look at what is truly possible if we took our boundaries away from things, and we have to get aligned with what we truly want. Does that make sense, first of all? I know it's pretty basic stuff, but I want to make sure that you're on the same page, right? So just going to check my messages. Well, you understand that. Aaron, Graham can be up to 200 plus days if the old muscle is super strong and the one is really weak. Be kind to yourself. Graham, that's kind of true. It's a little bit more than that. It's between 80 and 254 days to form a new habit. Looking at studies from Philip O'Leary from the London University, okay? So when we start to look at those studies, all inside the 8-Figure Thinker, then what happens is we have to be kind on ourselves. Right, Greg? And where did you get that information from, mate? Sounds like my words, buddy. So Henry, some people say 21 days, but it's more 60 days when habit is replaced with another thing. 66 days is what you're talking about there, my friend. Might have got that from me again, but 66 days is the average time to form a new habit, right? So yes, we do have to be kind on ourselves, Graham, okay? So when we start to understand that, it means that we have to keep pushing forwards. Does this make sense? Old, new, okay? So the decision for 2020 is what? Yeah. New, right? So then we have to look at, well, is that future right now? You sitting here where you are, I want to ask you a question. This is a limited future. The way you're thinking about your future, is it aligned? Is it aligned with what you want to do? Is it aligned with your heart? Is it aligned with a bleeding edge trend that's happening in your industry? Are you around the correct people, right? Are you with people who are 10 to 15 years ahead of you in the game? I don't know. But imagine if you were. That is called mentorship, and we start activating mirror neurons and things like that. But those type of people are going to hold you at a very high standard, higher than you hold yourself. And if they're holding you at a high standard, then what happens is the neurology adapts, okay? But conversations for a different time, okay? We on the same page so far? Checking messages again. Your words exactly, Graham. Thank you, sir. You're a good student, my friend. But it's true. And making sense so far. I can move on from that, right? Good, I can move on. So the next one, my sticky notes. I nearly went out and bought a big board, but this is what happens when you travel, right? It's hard to set up shop with big, huge whiteboards that I want for this whole wall, but we'll see how it goes. So, brain 101. Okay. You need to understand this because think about it. The old you knew you, right? The old you knew you. Well, what we got to understand, if this is a muscle, everything inside of your brain, it's a muscle, it's a piece of software, it gets outdated. And it makes you think, feel, and act a certain way. So when you start to look at your future, I want you to understand what's really happening in your brain, right? Whether it's the old you or the new you, this is what's happening in your brain. And this is affecting your brand, it's affecting your money. Plain and simple, okay? So first of all, stats. Do you know my opinion about stats, everybody? I'm going to just wait 30 seconds to see if people know my opinion about stats. Well, 10 more seconds. Okay, so my opinion about stats is they're all bullshit. But they give us an idea. They give us at least a frame, a reference point, right? Because the truth is, any stats can be, angled to create any result. So I don't really trust stats, but at least they give us an idea. It's like, on the bottom of commercials, adverts, and you've got 98% of women or men said this and they thought this. And then you look a bit deeper, it says, you're calculated out of 154 people spoken to. Right, but they've spoken to 5,000 people. But anyway, you're having around 54,000 thoughts a day. Think about that. 54,000. Each one of them is connected to a memory about the future or past. Every one of them is connected to an emotion. Every one of them is connected to, we'll talk about chemicals. Every one of them is connected to, it could be your brand, it could be money, it could be the next sale, right? So if you're finding yourself in a low emotion, beating yourself up, then I want you to understand that we have to start to get control. Plain and simple. Because if we're not getting control, then what happens is, what's the next one? It's automatic. And that's where we talk about the unconscious mind, right? And that's the unconscious mind software that's been built from everything that's happened to you from the moment you were born. And if we look at the womb, it's actually even going back to the womb, right? Because you're making decisions. If your parents were arguing about money, and I'm sorry if you've heard me say this 1,000 times, but it's my systems. If your parents were arguing about money before you come out of the womb, what happens is your nervous system is actually being developed then. So because of that, you are then activating the fight or flight response, the amygdala, the hypothalamus. And what happens is you are then making decisions about money. Oh, this must be stressful. Parents are arguing. So by the time you pop out of the womb, you already have programming. Crazy, right? It's crazy. But yeah, it's very true. Anyway, when we go into hypnosis, we can clear all that stuff up. But this is what it is. So I want you to understand those 54,000 thoughts are automatic. So the challenge with that is every one of these patterns, right? Or the way you start learning about money or success or happiness or health or food or travel or whatever it is, entrepreneurism or sales. Well, we have to overwrite this program. And to do that, we've got to understand that the unconscious mind, your software in your brain, yes, has its own language, okay? Has its own language. Do you know how to talk to the unconscious mind? Graham, do you know how to talk to the unconscious mind, mate? Do you know its language? Let's see. 68 are made up on the spot. I love that, Henry. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. And so when we start to understand how to communicate with the unconscious mind, then what we're doing is we're reprogramming, yes, but we're reprogramming these 54,000 thoughts. We're reprogramming also the chemicals. So why is the chemicals important to really get a grip on? Right? And I'm running through this fast. I've got pages and pages to go through. And I could talk here for hours. I'm just giving little droplets to you for questions after. And also, well, if you like this, we'll keep them going in the future. But chemicals. Entrepreneur. You ever find yourself like bipolar? Really high, really low, really high, really low, really high. Sound familiar? Well, that's because what's happening is our environment is triggering us, right? So the way we think about the future or a personal or seeing somebody else on Facebook, right? And we see their success and that triggers us. What does it trigger? It triggers the old us. It triggers one of these thoughts. It triggers this automatic place. And because we don't know how to talk to our unconscious mind and change it, what happens is we have this chemical fluctuation. Make sense so far? Checking my messages. State change routines, trance hypnosis. Graham. Exactly, sir. That's how we talk to the unconscious mind, right? So this then affects what? Well, it affects a lot. It affects our behaviors and our actions. Plain and simple. So when you're about to pick that phone up, what program's playing? Right? What you're saying to yourself, or what's the visual, what chemicals are there, right? It's going to affect your behavior and actions. And not rocket science anymore. I've been teaching this for 17 years, 18 years this year. Getting old. But the truth is, that's where we take control and be dominant. And if you want to be the 1% of what I call the world-class you, or what I call the eight-figure thinker, if you want to be like that, and you want to be like the people that you see all over Facebook, Instagram, and everything else, then this is going to affect your business, your life, your money, everything. Make sense? Good. So how we tune it is we have to understand about brainwaves. We have to understand about trance, and we have to understand about very exact techniques of visualization, okay? And when we can understand that, man, everything changes. Everything changes. Because suddenly the old you, see if I can do this. Hey, we did it. So that was a bit of a messy one, right? But the old you, guess what? That has all of these things sitting inside of it and a boundary. Well, so does the new you. So what I teach is something we mindset by design, right? We have to design what's possible. We have to learn to delete what's stopping us. And we have to install a fresh new way of thinking, feeling, and acting. And when we can do that, we start to gain control of our mind, our emotions, peak state. Therefore, we control and be dominant in any environment, including our business. Okay? Makes sense so far? I'm going to move on to about the brand now. But I just want to see if there's any questions so far. Is this making sense? Am I ranting too fast? Let me know. Let me know. I'm going to wait those 20 seconds. Dun, 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 dun. And then, yeah, you give me a few seconds, and then I'll see if there's any questions pop up. Otherwise, I will put the next one on, because we're going to talk about your brand. Your brand's very important. We got anything? No. Okay, cool. So we'll keep going. But I rushed through this because I think most people in my world, I've taught them this. Whether you've gone through the 8-Figure Thinker, one of my groups, work with me privately, listen to the podcast, I don't know, somewhere, right? You probably understand a lot of this. So let's go, Henry. Like it. Brand. How is yours today? Plain and simple. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of involved in the internet marketing world, right? And do you want to know a secret about it? I'll tell you a couple of secrets about it. First one, it's not really a secret. You meet me, this is me. Whether I've been out for, I remember in LA, went out for a client, went for dinner, they were royalty, Saudi royalty. Next day, went and hung out on Venice Beach and hung around with homeless people. Just people. This is me. This is me. But I want to tell you something about this first one, aligned, and the brand. Most people, again, we use that word for shit. I have met so many internet marketers that you see them online and it's like, wow, who's this person? You meet them, oh man, the opposite of that. They're boring for a start, right? They don't know how to talk to people. You get the idea. And I believe, I really do believe this, as this internet marketing world and the internet grows, and we're just at the start of this. And the thing about this is I really believe that these people are getting weeded out. Now, man, it's even, I shouldn't say these things, but I'm going to say it. I got shown a video by somebody who I really respected. They advertised they got 4 billion views, right? 4 billion views across all their platforms. You might know who this is. He's a storyteller. He was a monk. I'm not going to say his name. I got shown this video where somebody broke down every single quote he's ever said and every single video he's ever made, right? And he has stolen the quote and quoted his name under it. He literally deleted their name, put his name. Think about that. Is that aligned? Is that congruent? It's not, right? So when you start to understand that, man, your brand has to come from the heart. Steve Jobs said it best, and this is a controversial point because I've heard so many brilliant people, and they're all brilliant people, they're like saying, why follow your passion? Follow what makes money, right? And I go back to Steve Jobs' quote every time. Steve Jobs changed the world in many different industries. And the truth behind it, he said the only reason he was able to create the success that he had was because he loved what he did. That's it. If you don't get excited, intuitively excited and pulled to do something, to be of service, to create something beautiful for you and others, man, just do something else. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's enough douchebags in the world, enough idiots in the world that are taking. It's about giving. And that sounds so hippie and cheesy, man, especially coming from an MMA fighter from Liverpool. But it's true. It's really, really true. And so I want you to look at your brand right now. And I want you really to to do a little technique, you can do it with me now, right? You can do it with me now. It's something I call forwardsing the movie. And there's many different ways we implement this very simple technique, very simple visualizing technique. But I want you to look at your brand right now. And close your eyes if you want. But you look at that brand right now. And how does it make you feel? First of all, feel good, feel sad, feel stressed, not feel aligned, right? Now, imagine doing exactly the same things with your brand and pushing it out 12 months into the future. How does it make you feel? Who's around you? Where are you? Start to really get a sense of your brand. Is it helping people? Is it scalable? Right? Is there truly a demand there? Right? If there's not a demand there, then we have to rethink a product. I've made this mistake so many times. It's because you create the product that you think is going to be in the market. But the truth is, if there's no buyer, what's the point? Right? So the buyer could be a charity. The buyer could be someone you're helping. The buyer could be someone who wants a Ferrari or a plane or a resort, or they want this pen. But if there's no buyer there, then you have to adjust your marketing strategy and you have to adjust your brand to solve someone else's problem, not yours, not what you want to do. Now, does that mean that you don't want to do it? No, it could be anything. You're still going to be alive. For me, the thing I've completely in the process of a rebrand, right? The many evolutions. I don't know if anyone remembers like the Mindset by Design podcast. It's going back like 5.5 years ago. It was funky. It was cool. It was this cartoon face, and it was like looking at that and I had headphones on. The brand's evolved. And I want to make sure that you're in alignment with this, because the first step for me is what I'm putting together is the new brand. Yeah, but we're looking at all these different marketing strategies. And then from there, yes, I want to be able to sell the 8-figure thinker, but I want to add something to it so I can help coach people with it. Yes, there's programs. There's a 12-month, it's called the 1% Performer. It's a 12-month mentoring program that I'm bringing out. Why? Because it's needed. And all of these things, I've looked at the audience, and I want you to do the same for your industry. And then you've got to be damn excited about it, right? So if you spun your brand out and it was 12 months in the future and you were like, shit, I see myself as stressed and working, then that sucks, right? So then we have to look at the model, and we have to look at how can we automate this, or what team do I need around me to take over these things, right? And people think I don't have the money for the team. You do, because it's not always about money. It's about people believing in your vision, you as a leader. And what happens is people come around to support that. And there's lots of virtual assistants who are working for like $3, $4, $5, $6 from all over the world who can do a lot of the work for you. Things like that, right? Aligned. And then the other thing people do not do, and this is, I don't know why, research. Do you think you are the only person in the entire world doing what you do? No, right. Look at my industry. Tony Robbins might be a little bit further ahead, right? And that's the same thing. So research, to me, is one of the biggest fundamental things that you can be doing. Because something in the internet marketing world is that you need to know your audience. Yes, you need to know your competitors. Because if people are, again, 10 to 15 years ahead of you, or 5 or 2, or whatever it is in the game, you can learn from them. You learn about the way their brand looks, the way it feels, what their opt-ins are, what language they're using, what colors, what sequence of email sequence are they doing? How are they marketing? Is it just through social media? Well, if you're just using social media these days, you're probably going to be in for a little bit of a shock, right? I think there's ground roots things that you have to do these days that I don't know. Anyone can get behind like a webinar of just slides, right? It's different to presenting like this or being on stage or being face to face with someone. It's a whole different beast, right? It's a whole different thing. But why am I saying all that? I'm ranting on, right? But anyway, research. You got to do it all over the world. And so what I've spent the past like weeks and weeks doing is I just wrote a whole new website, a whole new brand. We put it up, didn't like it. Didn't like it. It just didn't feel congruent, right? So what did I do? Start it again. Plain and simple. Does it cost more time? Yes. Whew, that's why 7 days is what's required right now for me. And so what I did was research probably another 15 or 20 different brands and started to really zone in on what was congruent and aligned with me. And then I'm like, that's it, man. And it was just like 2 days ago that this clicked. And I'm like, that's it. I got it. And then as soon as I saw that, I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, and everything just flowed because that was aligned with me. I'd done the research. And because of that, I could see this, the USP. Everyone knows what that means, right? Just checking if there's any questions, get them in here. You're all listening? Good. So, USP, unique selling point. Everything's saturated. Just understand that, right? And it's only going to get more and more saturated. I really believe the next trend is going to be people coming off social media, using it to build, and then we're pulling them off onto your own network. That's where things are going. Because have you noticed everything's just noise? Noise, noise, noise? It is, right? And because of that, we have to get very clear on what the difference is for you. Very clear on what cuts you through the noise, okay? Now, with me, I get put into this 18 years of doing this, been the top person in neuro-linguistic programs type of sales in 2 different countries. I was 27 building a $100 million resort. I went through bankruptcy. I changed countries again. I then worked my way up in LA and California and then to become one of the top in the world over the past 12 years of what I do. I've got all of these accolades, right? All of these accolades. I'm a trainer. I've spoken all over the world. I've done events all over the world. I've seen 10,000 people. The podcast has got way over 1 million downloads. You know what I mean? I've worked with royalty. I'm in the Forbes Coaches Council. Yet, somebody can do a course of the weekend, get an NLP qualification, and someone goes, oh, I know NLP. Right. Do you know what I mean? And then the last couple of years, the world's been flooded with coaches. Well, marketers, right, who charge high prices. Why do they charge high prices? Because they got taught to by other marketers, right? So understand that. They're not coaches. Plain and simple. Yet, I get put into the same category. Think about that, right? So what stands me out? The science. What else stands me out? My reputation. What else stands me out? Well, this ability. So something I've committed to this year is cranking out content because I have to separate myself, right? And then I'm looking at all different organic strategies and paid advertising strategies, JV strategies, all different ways to funnels. And why? So I can help people. Why? Because I've got so many other projects I want to do this year. First one, yes, we're building the new brand, right? Second one is we're launching something called Hustle and Flow. Third one is we're launching something called Luminity. The fourth one is we're moving into mergers and acquisitions. So this is my plan for the year and the next 2 years is to grow through this, right? And so that is what's going to stand me out because it means I can get on stage more. It means I can present more. It means I can show my own USP, which cuts through the noise. And that's why it's so important to be aligned. It's so important to do your research. Making sense? Just checking. And we just saw Tom. What up, Tom? Hey, Michelle as well. Okay. Next thing. What does this mean? Besides, that's going to fall off the wall. What does that mean? You can't even read that. I can barely read that. harmonization, as I take a cup of tea. What the heck is harmonization? Well, we can start talking about sacred geometry. We can start talking about golden ratios and phi and pi. Yeah, but we're not going to. It's a different topic, right? Like talking about that. Here, look. Golden ratio, right? What that means is that it's harmonization. It's like, why is somebody attractive and not attractive? It's their face, okay, is harmonized, or it's to a mathematical formula. It's aligned, okay? So what that means is it makes people feel at ease, okay? That's the same thing. I want you to understand that. That's the same thing with your brand. Yes. So I want you to look at your whole brand from start to finish, right? From the very start of when someone clicks on something or sees you, right to all the way through the funnel, right to that moment where they close the deal. And even after that, the aftercare. And more importantly, then the product and support and experience that you're giving them. Does that harmonize? If it doesn't, well, guess what? People are going to feel incongruence. They're not going to respect you. And that's why I told you that little story at the start about, and it will come out again, all these marketers and that, they paint a picture of themselves, and behind the scenes, it's just not them. It's like the old cheesy motivational speakers who are like, be like me. Fuck off. Who wants to be like you? You should be like you. You should be like yourself, right? The best version of yourself. And so what we want to make sure is that harmonization through the language that you use, the graphics that you use, the imagery that you use, just everything. Make sure that it's fully aligned and congruent all the way through. I can go more, but that you understand, right? Beautiful. Because it leads to this. If you pick up that camera and then become somebody else, man, I don't know, that's just fake to me. Just drives me nuts. Just drives me crazy. And I really believe it's getting found out. I really do. Because the more people come into the industry that you're in, the more you have to cut through the noise, which is why people become fake, right? But the truth is, what's always going to work, if we look at the people that have created legacy in the world, right? The people that have lasted for generations and generations and generations are people like, we're always going to go to it, Bruce Lee, right? People like Bob Marley, philosophers, people who stand out to be authentically them. And when we look at what's real, let's look at the best marketing machine in the world. What is it? Well, maybe it's not anymore, right? But it was Hollywood. Now, when I was a kid growing up, when you thought of the US, what did you think of? Yeah, Hollywood, right? It's the best marketing machine. I grew up trauma-wise when we think about why I did all this, but I grew up just watching movies and TV. It was babysitter, right? And because of that, I just had an interpretation of the US, and I think it changed a lot of cultures throughout the world. And the truth is, who stands out in Hollywood? Well, you can tell I'm getting a bit old, but who stands out in Hollywood? The Brad Pitts, right? The George Clooney's, the people that are uniquely them. But what does everybody, or 90% or 98% of people who go to LA, who go into the Hollywood scene, and I lived in LA, so people who go into that scene, what do? Yeah, they try and be anybody but themselves. They try and be somebody else. They try and be the Brad Pitt or this or that. But the Brad Pitts be themselves. So if you're trying to make a longevity of a brand, then you've got to understand this. Does this make sense? I'm going to wait for some feedback on this one because I can keep ranting. Does this make sense? Good, right? So what's my point? Identify and be analytical with your brand. Make sure it is aligned. Make sure you are researching. Make sure that it is unique. Make sure that you are cutting through the noise. Make sure that you have harmonized it. Make sure that you are being real and not a idiot and being fake. Okay? And some of you know me out there, right? And if you know me, is this me? It's me, right? So, happy with the brand? Any questions? Just going to pause for a moment when I take another sip of tea. I was seeing if it's one of those yogi teas, you know, with the little quotes on, but it's not. It's organic though. It's organic. Okay. Last topic. Thank you, Henry. I appreciate that, my friend. That's why I love you. Right? Genuinely, you know, I'm not in love with you, mate, but I love you. There's money. Right, so what have we learned so far? Now I'm going to go through money, then I'll cover that, right? So, money. So, once we've looked at everything, right, and we've looked at the alignment, the research, the USP, the harmonization, we're being real, we cast our mind out to the future, and we'll watch recording. Gotta go. Well, thank you for being here, buddy. Thank you for Graham. So we've got to look at actual tactics, okay? And I'm going to show you how the brain really affects it's everything. It affects everything. It really does. That's why I've been able to take clients, man, who are brilliant already. They're amazing. He's doing, like, just one off the top of my head, $1 million a year, right? He's doing all right. We got him out of his own way because we tuned this up and then tuned the future and changed the box and rewired that thoughts about the future, money, success, the scalability. That client of mine did $75 million that year. From 1 million to 75. Think about that, right? That's the power of the brain. Did I teach him any skills, technical? Did I teach him any business knowledge? No. I helped him change roles and optimize and things like that so he can get clarity so he can scale. But the truth is, no, it was just the brain. I want you to understand that. So, money. Okay. So, what's everyone taught these days? Got to have a funnel, right? Oof, you're not using Facebook ads? Ooh, you need to be using Facebook ads. Oh, by the way, I charge $80,000 to look after your Facebook ads for the month. And then, it's another $400 million that you need in ad revenue. And, I don't know I'm going to get any leads. Oh, no, we don't know that. But I'm going to charge you this. Sound familiar? Well, you've got to understand about these things. A funnel, it's not a new concept, right? I mean, Russell Brunson made it amazingly famous, but we always start with a free offer, right? But is that anything new? No. How long have people been standing outside shops trying to give you cakes or trying to give you something? I don't charge $80K for Facebook stuff. But, mate, that's good, mate. We need to talk, Henry. I got lots of thinkers everywhere, mate. And I'm glad you don't charge $80,000 a month. Kind of expensive, but I bet you there's people that are in this world. So my point is this, right? People standing outside shops with offering you cakes. Why do they do that? Because it activates a confirmation bias in our brain called the law of reciprocity. So when someone does that, gives you something, what do you want to do? Some people just want to give all the free gifts, but other people, what they want to do is they want to go, they're obliged. They feel committed to go in, right? So does that tactic work as much anymore? No. How many times you get offered something, you're like, no, it's all right. Why? Because you instantly feel obliged, right? So understand, that's all what's happening in the internet marketing game. It's stages. We used to close man, we used to do like close real estate deals. I've closed $500,000 real estate in 90 minutes. And the person coming in didn't even know that they wanted the property. 90 minutes later, they've just spent $500,000. That's what I used to do back in the day, right? That's why, hey, I had my karma for this, right? But lead gen. Constantly be looking at what works for you. It's not about anybody else. It's about what works for you. And there's something, it was a very beautiful point that I was actually in the Forbes Coaches Council, and they did a nice training in there by this guy, and I loved it. He was talking about ambers. You know, a burning amber? Right. You only need a tiny, tiny burning amber and the right stuff. And guess what? That creates the fire, doesn't it? Right? And that's what you got to look for in your businesses. Because some businesses, I know a guy, really successful guy, I think he's brilliant at what he does. And his, up until maybe 3 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and then he got all these internet marketing friends and blew that up. He didn't have any internet marketing presence. He was still earning 7 figures a year, phenomenal at what he did. And his mission was to be on stage every single week. That was his lead gen source. So he did amazing from it, right? But he wasn't building lists and this and this and trying to build YouTube channels. And it's, you know, each one of these social media platforms, understand that it's a whole business and beast in itself. So my suggestion with any of this, find the one you love, right? And if it's Instagram, then learn how to dominate it. Learn how to dominate it. My thing is right now, I just don't trust any platform, including Mr. Facebook. I don't. Like, rules are constantly changing, and rules are constantly changed inside the groups. And Facebook ads have just gone through a whole new revamp, right? So I want you to understand that don't necessarily follow the trend. Follow what works for you. Find the ambers. Does this make sense? And so if you looked at your business right now, what is working, right? And what is not working. And you can press pause on things. You can double down on stuff. For me, my lead gen sources, I'm working with an AI company. I'm working with Google Ads. I'm working with, what else we got? Facebook ads for going straight to a funnel, which is just for to build a list. What else we got? Yeah, I've got other things there. Mine's gone. But the point is, it's multiple lead generation sources. I just don't trust it. And see, what happens is I really believe that you got TikTok coming out right now, right? Everyone's jumping on TikTok. The fuck you want to jump on TikTok for? That's my opinion. Oh, Gary Vaynerchuk's pushing it. Do you know why Gary Vaynerchuk's pushing it? He's a massive shareholder in it. Now, does it mean TikTok's not brilliant? It depends what generation you want. Plain and simple. I don't want even really most of the Instagram audience. I don't want any audience. I want people to read articles, watch content videos, and that's it. You know, I want them to be already coming for a question to be solved, and then I can solve it. That's really my audience, more high level, okay? So lead gen, there is no right answer, but whatever works for you, strategically work it out, okay? Sales, that was where my journey started in Sydney in Australia. And the thing about that is, depends on your business model, right? The sale could be the funnel. The sales could be an automated, you're selling a product. The sale could be you on a stage. The sale could be at the end of a presentation. The sale could be at the end of this. I'm not going to offer you anything, but I'm going to offer you something, right? The other side, the sale could be somebody closing over the phone or video. But the truth is about that is you can get your everything right, your brand harmonized, aligned, everything researched. And the truth is, if you don't know how to sell verbally, like linguistically on text, or you don't know how to sell through video, or you don't know how to sell on the phone, or you don't know how to sell in person, then guess what? Not going to make any money. Not going to make any. And the truth is, I really believe that there's different focus. Look, let me explain like this, right? You can focus on money, or you can focus on helping. Which is giving and which is getting? That's my point, right? So what we want to do is make sure that our focus is, our money is a reward for our service. That sounds like cheesy, but it's not. It's the way I think. And anyone who doesn't think that way, then that's fine. This is the way I think. And every time I start to focus on this too much, this dries up. And then I don't get this. Does that make sense? Because I think I know there's a different energy. And when we start talking about, sensory acuity and reading physiology and accessing cues and micro muscles on people's face and reading energies of people, well, I really believe that you can tell what state or place or intent somebody literally has. You know, that's why you go to a used car sales or a car sales and everyone's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Right? Because you know what their intent is. They're trying to sell you a car. Have you come to buy a car? Well, potentially, yes. So, but if they came to help you find the right car for you, and they didn't even give a damn if you bought it off them or not, they just wanted to make sure that you were good, you'd trust them, wouldn't you? Right. And that's the thing. So would you earn money then? Whoa, more than not, right? That is huge. Because the money, focusing on the money, man, it can just be coming from desperation. And then we start talking about the amygdala activation, and then we start talking about chemicals, and then we can start talking about old patterns, and then, that's just why we can get, let's see how I'll do it, let's see if I can do it. Why we can get stuck, old box. The new you has to come from here. And that's the way your product should be designed. That's the way you should be designing everything. Does it make sense? I hope so, because that is going to get you out of your issue. Because if you were so adamant on helping, man, is there any time for fear or resistance? No. And that's why I've just rebranded again, because I'm very clear on this, and I know who I want to help and how I want to help. And I know I'm good at what I do. Why? Because I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of study and practice to get here, Sometimes money's amazing. Sometimes money's not as good, but it doesn't matter. It's just growth. And when you start looking at the journey, man, you're going to get to your destination. I'm going on a bit of a rant again, aren't I? Tell me to shut up. I'm going to check my messages. Maybe you are. So, gotta go, Andy. Need to prep for a meeting in 30 minutes. Good stuff. Thank you, sir. B. What up, buddy? I hope you're good, my man. So, sales. Back to sales, right? Many different ways we're going to do sales, but I want you to understand that this is a skill. Just like tuning this up, just like looking at your brand, looking at the aligned, the USP, the harmonization, it's always skill. Lead generation is a skill. Being able to control your brain from these two things is a skill. What does a skill need? Well, mentorship and practice. Plain and simple. Growing a business is exactly the same thing. Scaling a business is exactly the same thing. Being in a peak version of you, this tuned up, so your focus is laser, right? Imagine if you could adjust your focus from 20 minutes to 3 hours. Do you think you'd be more productive? Right. If you could stop the overwhelm and instead switch on that confidence, step into that sales call, already have it programmed in your brain, right, of what's going to happen. So your tonality, the pace, the pitch, the timbre of your voice is in alignment. You're coming from your heart to help these people. Makes sense? Right. Because the brain Affects everything. And if we're talking about money, then that's why I wrote the first one there. Why? Why do you want the money? If it's to get money to buy shiny stuff, okay, shiny stuff's cool. We all love shiny stuff. But first, it should be that, in my opinion. And then I want to know, this is all the brain connected to money. What's the desire? How much do you want it? Do you think a billionaire wants the money more than you? Yeah, of course. Of course. So is that the reason they get it? The answer is this. Yes. Plain and simple. If you haven't watched Kevin Hart, the comics, like 5-part documentary on Netflix, do so. That's a work ethic. But his whole point is to become a billionaire, to leave a legacy, to make his mom proud. There's all these whys and desires, right? So every day that affects your emotion. And if you are focused on just money, okay, then maybe it works out for you. That's awesome. I've worked with billionaires and people with hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're left empty. They are. So the emotion, are you thinking about money with fear? Or are you thinking about money by helping? Because that emotion is going to trigger certain neural nets, certain chemicals, you get the idea, right? And then when you think of the word money, what images are coming in your head? What are they? Is it like ease and flow and excitement? Or is it stress and fear and you're watching your bank account go down? Two different focuses. And making sense? Asking any questions? What up, Gene? Good to see you. Tom, sales are congruent upon the attitude of the salesperson, not the attitude of the prospect. Like it. It's true, man. That's why, dude, I was sold so much real estate back in the day, but it's, and it is. I went in to help. That's why, like, it was funny. Like, I got headhunted to all these different companies and just destroyed records in every company. And this one company was a top company in the country, and I got headhunted in. Their record was 9 sales in a row. It's pretty good, right? $500,000 sales. That's pretty good, right? And it was in a row. I came in and did 24 sales, 24 properties in a row. Just destroyed them. They destroyed all the records, and no one could compete. But why? Because they were coming in being fake. They were coming in hunting for the money. I was coming in to make sure these people could set up a retirement fund, get out of debt. And so if they didn't buy, I was heartbroken, right? That's why I became who I became at that point. So we've nearly finished. We're going to start wrapping up. So get your questions ready if you've got any. But money, then we've got a model. And I don't mean modeling. I mean modeling as in the neuro-linguistic or psychological concept of being able to model or deeply copy somebody's unconscious responses, or another way to say that, or modeling someone's actions, behaviors, thoughts, and feelings, right? So when we can do that around money, who would we choose? Choose, probably Jeff Bezos right now, right? Probably choose Jeff Bezos. So how does Jeff Bezos think about money? How does Jeff Bezos think about his business? Get the idea? That's who we're going to model. So when you start to get fearful around money, I want you to understand that really it's just that we're firing the old neurology, the new one we model around money, people we aspire to be like. So if we put ourselves around those people, we listen to them, don't look up at them, don't look down on them. No, it's just we're looking at that specific criteria, not the whole person, because not everybody is perfect. And we don't want to model everything about everyone. We just want to look at certain values and certain beliefs and certain ethics, right? And certain motivators. Make sense? Cool. Money. Vision. So the stages. So when I tell you about my stages of businesses and where my brain is very focused on, I'm going to be relentless with this. Why? Because I want to basically have, I want to be moving into the next stage of my life. And I want to be a philanthropist. I want to be just work with charity. I want to not get paid to be able to travel the world and just help and already have floods of cash just pumping in, right? So then I can help everyone I want without concern around money. So first of all, this one is you got to get it. To learn, like I've talked about, to build a machine to help you get it. Next one, you've got to grow it. Okay, yeah, so that's where we look at investments. And that's where we want to put a middle one in there, that's automate. If you want to buy your time back. I can go on, but any questions so far? What are we looking at here? Tom, what's up, Tom? So, making sense though? So, where are you now? I don't know where you are now, right? But if we looked at, I'm going to see if I can rip these off. But we look at rewiring and upgrade, brain, brand, money. We looked at what? Old versus new, the frame around it. Okay? What else did we look at? Well, we looked at what? The actual brain 101. Chemicals, languages, behaviors, brain waves. Then what did we look at? We looked at your brand, alignment, research, USPs, harmonization, fake or real. Then what did we look at? We looked at how lead gen sources, sales, and how the brain is affecting everything. Whew. So my question, where are you now? 2020, what do you want? Where are you going? Being around the right people and getting mentorship is everything. And it all starts with this. This is a clear one. One word. Do you know, before I even write it, do you know what this word's going to be? Do you know what this word's going to be? It's 30-second delay. Do you know what the word's going to be? I'll give you one letter. D? Isn't this countdown, is it in the UK? Okay, I'll give you the second one. D-E. I'm looking at the phone. All right, I'm just going to write it. I might even spell it wrong. I've got dyslexia. So D-I-C-I-F. Can we read that? Decisions. It's everything. It's everything. Decisions are everything. And the thing about decisions is we have different ones. We have got to understand this, right? This is about habit formation if we want to go there, but it's the same sort of thing. So micro over to macro. Okay? What does that mean? Habit formation, like I spoke about before, between 18 and 254 days for habit formation. 66 days is the average length it takes to form a new habit. But we want you to understand, micro commitments, micro habits, the decision that you decide to make next leads to macro results. So I want you to ask yourself, where do you want to be this time next year? 2021. Do you know that we're nearly at the end of January already? 2020, new decade. What do you want? Are you going to just take a bit of knowledge and just see what you can do with it again? Or are you going to hit that next level? You're going to get that mentorship? Are you going to really step up? I don't know. But decisions lead to everything. So, what's my point? I just want you to have the best damn life and business that you could ever possibly have. The truth is, and this is the truth, and people stay away from this, but I genuinely do not know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I don't. My mission every damn day, is to help as many people as I can. Because if I do that, then I'm content at the end of the night. And if I don't wake up tomorrow, I can look back on whatever's next and I can go be proud of what I've done. This is why I try so hard, you know? But cutting through that noise and getting rid of the fake people and the bullshit people, well, man, you know, it requires skills. So what's my point? I've got so many things happening. I've got concierge coach that can really work out what the right fit for you is. I take fewer and fewer clients on these days, private clients. I've got mentorships happening, which I'm pumped about. I've got all different little products, so many things. If you resonated with any of this and you want support or just even want to chat to see what possibilities are, I'm going to put the link in the comments and just click on it. It's an application, just fill it in. And if we can help you, we can help you. Sound good? Beautiful. Okay, so question time. I've been ranting on here for what? An hour now? Okay, so I'm going to jump off, but is there any questions? I know there's like a 30-second delay. I'm going to put this on, some few different platforms for people to watch. But I'll just wait here. So, they're right here. Let's write this. Let's chat. Click. Link. There. Okay. So, if there's no questions, let's chat. Click link. Okay. So link's going to be in the show notes. Want my email address? I'll put it in there too. Anything you need, let me know. We've also got access to the 8-Figure Thinker. That is the premier mental performance training system and certification program on earth. Fact, man. I'll put it up against anything. You go through that, man, it's to build you into the ultimate entrepreneur. We go into everything. It's the ultimate thing. But I'm going to jump off now. Hope you enjoyed that. Please listen to the podcast. Please write a review. Please share this group, share this training. Please do yourself a favor. Let's have a chat.
So crew, there we go. The end of episode 259. Pick up some good stuff there? I hope so. I left the whole thing. I was gonna chop it into 2 parts, but I thought, you know what? People who are gonna be interested in this and gonna step up, then guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna listen to the whole thing, and it'd probably drive me crazy if I split it into 2. So I left it. So hopefully you got some good information. Your brain's all fired up. You understand now more about why your brand or money isn't where you want it to be, or if it is, how to get to the next level. So again, you heard me at the end, 1 decision away. So if this resonated with you, then I want to chat with you, whether it's myself, one of my concierge coaches. We'll see, you know. But I want you to go to the show notes, click on the link, click on the application, and let's chat, man. If it's the right fit for you, if there's something a right fit for you, then we'll do it. But the truth is, every coach needs a coach, every expert needs an expert, and every mentor needs a mentor. And that's it. I don't know how fast you want to level up, but if you're learning tennis and you're hitting the ball around on your own and you're watching YouTube videos about how to play tennis, I don't know how much your skill is gonna improve, right? But if you get a personal trainer who's there every day, right, and you can ask him questions and you can then sit down with them and learn and play the game, guess what's gonna happen? Right, business and your brain is exactly the same. So it's time for 2020 to be your best year ever. Yeah, so time to step up. Click those show notes and I will speak to you very, very soon. Until then, much, much love. Make sure that you write me a review. Make sure that you share this with somebody. And make sure you are in the incubator group. And until the next time, much love. And oh yeah, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.